And it's time for the second round of the Big Lager Championship. I didn't think it would ever get to this point, but it has. So let's have a let's have a good look at the table. Here is the table. And the Holsten Pils lost to the St. Etienne. The Carlsberg Export beat the Kronenbourg. We had the Madry moving past the Galera. The 1897 beat the Cobra. The Red Stripe moved in past the Bière Deluxe. The Grande fell foul of the San Martinez. We had the Stella Artois beating the Brooklyn Pilsner. And the Perlenbacher Lager beat the Heineken. In the second half, we had the Rossini beating the Birra Italiana. And the Peroni just eased past the Steinhauser. We had the Champignols beating the Birra Moretti. We had the Rheinbacher beating the Asda Premium. Cruz Campo beating the Sol. We had the Birra Mapelli beating the Mahou. The Angelo Peretti just eased past the Feldschlossen. And the Sabor beat the Estrella. So that is how the first round of the championship finished up. So here we've got the second round. So this is the table for the second round. But as you can see, for the second round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of a change. Oh, yes. That's what I do sometimes. I sometimes like to throw a curveball. And I am going to make a change. Because during this championship, I basically made it quite clear that there were a few beers that I thought were really impressive. And two of those beers were the San Martinez and the Red Stripe. And it looks like the San Martinez and the Red Stripe would actually face each other in the second round. Well, we can't have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a little bit of a change, and I'm going to move the San Martinez into the bottom round. Now, I know I don't do seedings. I couldn't really do seedings because I don't know really how good any of these beers are. But to be honest, the San Martinez and the Red Stripe are both very good beers. So the San Martinez, I'm going to just move it into another half of the table. And I thought what I'll do is I'll swap it with the Cruz Campo in the bottom half. So this is what the table looks like now. So there you go. We are rewriting history. The Cruz Campo is now up against the Red Stripe, and the San Martinez is going to be up against the Birra Mapelli. So that'll be very interesting to see how that goes. And I've swapped a Spanish style lager with another Spanish style lager. So there you are. That is how the championship looks so far. But we are going to talk now about what we have got today. So we've got the first matchup in the second round of the Big Lager Championship. And it is against two interesting lagers. It'll be interesting to see how these do. Let's swap them over. So first of all, we have got the Saint Etienne from Aldi. Aldi's version of Stella Artois. And we have got Carlsberg Export, which is Carlsberg's version of Carlsberg, essentially. And what can I say about these two beers that hasn't been said already? Carlsberg Export, I'm a big fan of it, but I'm going to do this blind, so I might not know which one is which out of these. It is a pint can, 4.8% ABV. I think these were about for about £6, maybe about £5.50. The Saint Etienne, I think, is about £4 cans for £4, something like that. 4.6%, 4.8%. Will we notice any difference in the taste? Will I know which one's which? Which one will go through to the quarterfinals, I think now it is. Which one will go through to the quarterfinals? We'll find out when I get these poured into glasses, and I will be right back in a minute. Okay, beers poured. And I will, just to clear something up, I did actually say I will just get these poured out and into glasses. I didn't actually do the pouring, as you know, because it wouldn't be very blind. Otherwise, just in case you think there's anything dodgy going on here, my wife still poured them. This one is retaining its head better than this one, but this one's got a lot of bubbles coming up. That tends to be a thing. Well, obviously the bubbles coming up are actually causing the head, aren't they? So that head is just kind of staying there because of all the bubbles going up. That one, bubbles going up much more slowly. Head is disappearing. Let's give it a little bit of a swirl, get the head back. There we go, got a bit of a head there. So both giving nice fluffy heads there. Before we get any further, this is which one is which. Okay, that was which one was which. Right, so we are going to get a nose on these beers now. So let's have a little look at this one first. So here we go. Actually, no, it's not. Let me not look at them yet. Let's look at them. What am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so dying to try these beers. I've not looked at them. Yeah, this one's significant. Well, say significant. It's definitely darker than this one. Okay, the one on your right is pale straw colour. The one on your left is and it's like more of an amber. This one's more of an amber colour. This one looks better than that one, I gotta say. This one looks a little bit thicker, looks a little bit more full of flavour. This one possibly looks like it might be a little bit watery, a little bit gassy, but we will find out in a minute. This one is actually retaining its head quite well, actually, considering there's not many bubbles going up to the top. So anyway, let's get a nose. Let's get a nose on this one. Okay, so this one is quite malty. Quite fragrant, floral. I think I know which one this one is. But again, I'm not going to think. Why am I thinking which one it is? I don't know why I think I know which one this one is, to be fair. But I think it's because there's some malt in the smell. And one of the beers, as far as I remember, doesn't have any malt in the smell. But it's getting a bit of a malty smell. A little bit of grass, a little bit of lemon. Is the lemon? Possibly not. A little bit of something that's a bit, I don't know, petrol-y in there. Or gasoline for the Americans. Yeah, definitely smells like oil. Like almost like motor oil in the smell there, which I sometimes get with some lagers. And some other bits. So alcohol-free lagers I tend to find have a bit of a motor oil kind of smell. Interesting. Okay, let's have a nose on this one and see how different it is. Very, it would seem. Not so much of a smell on this one. I'm getting though a lot more fruits in the aroma on this one. What fruits in particular? Almost like orange, lemon, and pineapple. But almost like confectionery kind of smell as well, coming up like sweets. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a sweet aroma, this one. In fact, very sweet. So I'm getting like almost like pear drops. If people know what pear drops are they still around anymore? I don't know. Pear drops are things that... Oh, something else as well. It's definitely pear drops and something else in the aroma. It definitely smells of like sweets. Like hard-boiled sweets. Which is not really, in my opinion, what a beer should smell like. So it'd be interesting to see how the tastes are on these. But again, I shouldn't be thinking about which one's which, so I won't. But I will go in for the old taste. Cheers. Not going too soon. So it's got a nice smooth mouthfeel. Nice and crisp. Bit of an aftertaste. Bit of that malt profile in the middle there. Not much bitterness. A bit of a dry bite. Not amazing, but not bad either. Could have a bit more flavour. It's crisp, it's quite refreshing. My eye keeps watering for some reason. Yeah. It's crisp, it's refreshing, it's a little bit blah. And not much of an aftertaste to speak of. No, definitely not much of an aftertaste to speak of. Can't really get anything there. Got quite a dry finish on it. Possibly a little bit of apple and grape on the aftertaste. Well, there you go. That's that one. Let's dive into this one now. Cheers. Not as smooth going down. Definitely going to be more gassy. Not much of an aftertaste. Getting a little bit of that pear drops on the flavour. It's quite clean. It's quite citrusy. A little bit of toffee. Not a bad flavour. I don't know. It's not overly carbonated. I think I know which one's which out of these, but I don't know if I know. I'm going to go backwards and forwards, I think. I wouldn't say that one's particularly sweet, nor is it dry. It's a little bit fruity. Not much of an aftertaste on either of them to speak of, really. Yeah, okay, let's have a... So we'll have another swill, and we'll have another go on both. See, this is a bit maltier, but it's also a little bit dirtier. As it's a little bit maltier, I would expect a little bit more of an aftertaste, almost like a bready aftertaste. I'm not getting that. It's possibly a little bit of something there in the aftertaste now that I'm like adjusting to the beer. There is a little something there. One more swill, another go on this, and I'm going to go from beer to beer. It's a close one. I won't lie, it's a close one. Yeah, this one does taste a bit thin. There's not really much in there to speak of. I think this one's got more of the full package. It's got a bit of malt profile, a tiny bit of bitterness. It's a little bit of dryness on the finish. There is a touch of an aftertaste. It's not great by any means, but I think it is better than that one. This one's quite refreshing though. It's quite refreshing, it's quite tasty in that way. Not much of an aftertaste. A little bit more. One more taste of each and I'm going to make a decision. I'll go on this one next. I am liking this one. But this one's just got a bit more to it. This has got a bit more to it. I mean, all the way through, this one has been just winning points. So a little bit of a point here, a point there. You know, this one wins on points, essentially. Neither is particularly miles better than the other, although one's giving me gas. Probably this one. So definitely this one winning. This one going through. Gotta guess this is the Saint Etienne. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it wasn't. But I'm just reckoning this is the Saint Etienne. Almost tastes like it's something that's brewed a little bit cheaper, but a little bit better. And this one is possibly brewed to a slightly higher price point, but not quite as well, if that makes sense. Which would sum it up. Saint Etienne, Carlsberg export. This one's going through. Either way, I'm going to find out which one was which, and I will be right back. Well, I guess I haven't a clue. Well, yeah, I'd said I'd be pleasantly surprised if that was the Carlsberg export, to be honest, because, yeah, all the way through I thought, again, I'd got to stop thinking which is which, really, because, yeah, apparently this was the Carlsberg export. And this was the Saint Etienne. I think we're right. It is. It is. That's definitely the way around there, yeah. So the Carlsberg Export was a little bit maltier than the Saint Etienne. And not as gassy as well, which is interesting. Well, no from the bubbles, really. Yeah, that's got lots of bubbles coming up to the top. And that's not got any bubbles coming up to the top. So yeah, definitely that way around. I couldn't believe it when I was told. When they said, no, it's the other way around. So the Saint Etienne, yeah, is, what can I say? It's quite a bubbly beer, to be honest. If it's more gassy than Carlsberg Export, it's quite a bubbly beer. But let's just take this away. So Saint Etienne, that was the Saint Etienne. Definitely right. That's gone. Let's talk about this beer for a minute. I've always said I've been a supporter of Carlsberg Export. I mean, Carlsberg Export is, I still think it's quite a decent beer, and this kind of proves it. Really, I thought they were the other way around. I mean, I did say that neither of them were knocking my socks off, and I won't go back on that. I mean, you know, it's quite a decent beer, but it's not Red Stripe or anything like that. Well, who knows? We'll find out maybe at one point. But yeah, I mean, it's not rubbish. So anyone who might think that Carlsberg Export is rubbish, maybe try it again. It's not rubbish. It's such a far cry from Carlsberg. Carlsberg was pretty much the worst beer in the Cheap Lager Championship. And this one now is moving into the quarterfinals of the Big Lager Championship with all the others, with all the slightly bigger hitters, should we say. So yeah, I said I'd be pleasantly surprised because I do like Saint Etienne still repeating on me. I want to see this beer go far, especially with it being blind, and especially with me getting them wrong all the time, because, you know, this is just proving to me that this is a decent beer. It proves that I don't really know the difference between one lager and another, but why would I? Hardly drink these things. But it kind of goes to show that if I know anything about what good beer tastes like, this is better than Saint Etienne. I am absolutely waffling. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, yeah, it's not a great beer by any means. Please don't get me wrong. It's not a great beer. But it's not a bad beer. So there you go. Carlsberg Export, not a bad beer. That is what I'm going to leave you with. It sounded like I was going to sneeze then, but it wasn't. I just kind of breathed in at the wrong time. It's, what can I say? It's going to go through to it's going to be the first beer. That's what I was going to say. See, because I sounded like I was going to sneeze then for some reason, I forgot what I was about to say. This is the first beer to go through to the quarterfinals. What will match it in the next round? Well, you'll have to stay tuned. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe. Till next time, have a good one.